Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and this is just another example of do as I tell you and do not complain coming from liberals. There's a video here that I will have the link to this story in the description. But middle school teacher forbids child from picking Trump as her hero. Let another student choose Obama. Bias in our school system continues, and it seems to be getting worse. According to a local news source in Virginia, Bella Moscato, a sixth grade student, was given a homework assignment by her teacher where she was told to write about someone who she feels is a hero. Bella decided to pick President Trump, but after she decided to choose him as her hero, according to the student and her parents, the teacher forbade her from using Trump. The irony of this decision was that the same teacher allowed another student to use former President Obama. I'm incensed that a teacher would have my daughter do that, Bella's father said. She said I wasn't allowed to do Donald Trump because he spreads negativity and says bad stuff about women. The thing I didn't get, she was okay with someone doing Barack Obama but not Donald Trump. That's what got me angry, and I didn't like that, Bella continued. Bella's father was furious while speaking at a local school board meeting. My daughter's hero is the president of the country, he said, which drew not Anne, or I don't know, which drew applause from the audience. I can't believe that anybody at the school would tell my daughter that that guy can't be her hero. I'm incensed by this. This was really frustrating for me because my daughter has every right to do and pick a hero of her choice. It's a First Amendment right, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. So it was really so it was really upsetting to me because she was trying to shut her down, Bella's mother said. Dr. Kenneth Graham, who is the local superintendent, took the side of his teacher and seemed to indicate that Bella was lying in a statement. It is not accurate that this student was told they were not allowed to conduct research or report on any individual for a school assignment, including President Trump. To the best of our knowledge, by choice, the student is still conducting their project on President Trump. He said. The Moscatos are now saying that the statement from the superintendent made matters worse. I'm incensed that my story is said to be inaccurate by you. My story is not inaccurate. My daughter did not lie. No one should make a child feel that way, and you're supposed to be protecting my child. I'm still waiting for your reply, her father said. It's pretty disturbing that the school superintendent is taking the side of the teacher by making this statement. Graham is basically calling Bella a liar. Unfortunately, this happens a lot in our country. The entire public school system is controlled and run by liberals who think that their opinions are best. Indoctrination is becoming the norm in the school system, which is why we are seeing such a high rate of young liberals. It's all a part of the Democrats' plan. This one to me, and I've taught middle school, and this is abhorrent. I would never tell a student that they could not conduct research on Che Guevara or Karl Marx or Mao Zedong. I would never tell a student they cannot conduct research on Donald Trump or Ronald Reagan or George Washington. I would advise them that they need to properly research the topic asked of them and properly convey that research in their assignment. That's it. When I tell you that you must choose someone, the only reason to say you may not choose that person is if another student has already chosen that person. That is very common in research projects. We don't want duplication because that invites cheating in some cases. There are many times these research projects are to be done completely on your own. If two students are researching the same thing, they may also collaborate, which we are not wanting them to do. We want every student to do their own work and nothing else. If a student came to me and, as a history paper, wanted to research Karl Marx, Adolf Hitler, Che Guevara, any of them, I would tell them the same thing I would tell any other student. You know the rules for what can and cannot be included as sources. You also know my expectation for the final product. Make sure to do your assignment carefully and turn it in on time. That would be the statement to every student in every class I teach. I, I believe this young woman. I believe this family because I have seen with my own eyes, and I am in a very conservative part of Texas, and I have seen teachers where I am with very liberal bent and very much authoritarian practices in their classroom. You are not allowed to disagree. There are instances that I will not go into because I don't want to, but I've seen teachers try to have students expelled because they disagree on wholly personal topics. If a teacher tells you that the formula to solve for the hypotenuse of a right triangle is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you don't disagree. That is the Pythagorean theorem. If they tell you the FOIL method for quadratic equations, that is proven. If I tell you the Civil War started in 1860 when the South decided to secede and lasted until 1865, that is a known fact. If I tell you that only Republican presidents are good people, everyone else is an evil bigot demon from the pits of hell, that is my personal opinion, and you have every right to disagree with me. I would not tell a student they cannot do a report on a person, no matter how much I dislike the person they want to research. Notice I've listed some brutal tyrants: Marx, Mao Zedong, Hitler, Che Guevara, all of them horrible people in my opinion. But unlike liberals, I would not only not disallow this, I would actually be very impressed that people want to research these people. I would help direct them to truthful accounts of these people and their lives and their way of ruling. Because only by showing them that Karl Marx was not a champion of the bourgeoisie or whatever idiocy the socialists are pushing. He was a brutal dictator. He lived a lavish life while the people he was ruling lived in squalor and poverty. Mao Zedong was a brutal person. Okay? It's just known. Che Guevara, socialist. Adolf Hitler, one of the most evil people to walk this earth. I would not let them research fake news about them where people claim that Hitler was a conservative. He was not. He was the leader of the National Socialist Party, literally where the word Nazi comes from. I would not allow them to just continue by saying Karl Marx was a champion of the worker, because the workers lived horrible lives under Karl Marx. I would point them to better resources and better information. And I would tell them you need to be sure that everything is historically accurate. I don't pick and choose what I teach. I teach the truth about history. And part of that is teaching about the dark parts of our history. It's a well-known adage: those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Sadly, there's a new part that's been added. Those who do learn from history are doomed to watch those who do not learn ruin the world. I've learned from history. I know what mistakes should never be repeated. Socialism among the top of them. And yet I'm watching as 535 people debate socialism, with very few coming out against it, and many of them demanding we have to do it because it's never been done right before, but we're going to do it right. And I'm all but powerless against them because, of course, these idiots doing this are from California, New York, Washington, Illinois, states I cannot vote in. Unfortunately, the flip side is not always true. We had, during the Roy Moore election in Georgia, someone on camera saying we busted in from all over the country to vote for our boy, to get our boy elected. We know voter fraud happens, and voter fraud, 98 to 99% or more, is always in favor of Democrats. Now they want to eliminate the Electoral College. How long before we completely eliminate certain resources from schools? How long before we eliminate all records of socialism so that no one can prove it kills millions of people? How long until we praise Venezuela for standing strong in the face of global pressure to end this man's work to better his country, when referring to Maduro? I personally believe this teacher did what the student is saying. Sixth graders don't often come home and tell their parents, I wanted to research Donald Trump, but my teacher wouldn't let me. But they let another student pick Obama. It's the only reason this is actually being contested is this teacher apparently is smart enough not to put it in writing. I wonder what would have happened if someone wanted to research and write about Maduro. Of course, had they turned in a report about how he's killing his people more and more every day, well, this is just not correct. He's trying to properly implement socialism, and they just won't let him. But if someone wrote a report about Karl Marx praising his work, it would have been given an A. And all of this has to stop. Teachers are there to convey information, knowledge, facts. You're not there to go on a political rant and indoctrinate students to your way of personal beliefs. I'm a history teacher. You know my personal beliefs from watching these videos and from reading my Twitter. I personally believe that had Hillary Clinton won in 2016, this country would already be fractured to the point where it cannot be fixed. But when I am teaching, my job is to teach history. What happened? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Who was involved? And very, very rarely, why? I can give some accounts of stated reasons for things happening, but I don't go into what anyone was thinking when they did something. I simply tell them what happened, when it happened, where it happened, how it happened, and who was involved. And if there is a statement from anyone who was involved, or it has been taken as fact by a researcher, I will inject those reasons. We know the Civil War happened because the South did not like being told what to do. Unfortunately, hindsight being what it is, we know that within a very short time after 1860, slavery would have been economically untenable. Eli Whitney's cotton gin would make the practice of housing and feeding slaves so astronomically expensive compared to the cotton gin that it would have ended on its own. But unfortunately, they didn't know that at the time, and a brutal war ensued for 5 years, brother against brother, father against son, until finally in 1865 the war was over, the country was reunified, and then we move on until today. This young lady has now been told by her teacher that you are not allowed to have original thought in my class. You must abide by my politics. I would be one demanding that my child be transferred out of this school. I would be one demanding that this teacher look me in the eye, because I'm a very good judge of people, and saying, I want you to look me in the eye. Tell me that my child is a liar. Call her a liar to my face. Yes, I get a little bit passionate when it comes to the children in my life. I am only an uncle. But if my niece came home and told me that she was not allowed to write about Donald Trump, I would be right with my sister and my brother-in-law, demanding to know why the teacher's personal politics is coming into play in her class. Very simple. If my niece came home and wanted to write about Michelle Obama and was told no, I don't care that that likely tells me that the teacher is a conservative. I would be right there with my sister and brother-in-law, demanding to know why the teacher is injecting politics into their class. The only class that should ever have any politics in it is government, possibly a little in economics, and only with respect to how a bill becomes a law, how the government forms and works, and how that may or may not affect the economy. Should not take this. But I've talked about this long enough. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. Just keep it classy, keep it civil. We do not learn from each other when we argue, only when we really debate. Also, please like the video and make sure to hit subscribe and notifications so that you're kept up to date with all the content. I do have my schedule of 4s and 10s, but there are times where a lot of information may come out all at once, and I post off the schedule, so you'll want to be subscribed and notified when that happens. Until the next time, you guys have a wonderful day.